Commissioners Ream and Gall, I think we're going to get started. Leslie and Ray, I think we're going to get started. Chair Matthews is actually chairing from remotely, so it may just be a little challenging, so we'll we'll bear with it.
Okay, I'll do roll call. Chair Matthews,
Present.
Vice Chair Tacone, Commissioners Gall,
Here.
Commissioner McFadden,
Here.
Commissioner Morris, Commissioner O'Doherty,
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder, Commissioner Altman,
Here.
Commissioner Greth, Commissioner Manley,
Here.
Commissioner Ream,
All right, so I'm guessing that we have a quorum.
yes.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is the approval and/or correction of our minutes from our last meeting on February 11th, 2020. It's all been distributed to everybody. Are there any, if there are no corrections or alterations to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
This is Jim, I'll make a motion.
Been moved by Jim, is there a second?
Seconded by Ream.
Been moved and seconded, call for the question, any discussion?
We don't
Hearing
have-
none, please indicate your approval by the usual sign. I think just go through the list of those in attendance and get their response.
I couldn't hear him. Okay. Commissioner Gall,
Yes.
Commissioner Greth, okay.
Approve.
What? Somebody's last name is going on. Commissioner Manley.
Very difficult to hear.
Okay.
They're attempting to call the roll.
Oh, they didn't hear it at all?
No.
Oh, gosh, here. Okay, then let me start over now that I understand what we're doing. Okay, Commissioner Gall?
Approve.
Okay. Commissioner McFadden? Okay. Commissioner Morris?
The yes or no?
Commissioner O'Doherty? Commissioner Schroeder?
Yes.
Commissioner Altman? Commissioner Greth? Commissioner Manley? Commissioner Ream?
All right, it's been moved, probably seconded, and voted for approval. The minutes from our February 11, 2020 meeting are hereby approved. Are there any off-agenda items?
No.
All right, moving on to item number 4. Michelle, what do you have for us on economic development?
Can you all hear me okay? Okay, and then those of you dialing in, you should be able to follow along. There may be a slight delay, but if you're tuning in on TV or streaming it, you should be able to somewhat follow along with the presentation. So give me a holler if there's any issues with that, please. Thank you for this opportunity to provide some information on the plans for Oceanside's economic recovery. It has been a challenging few months, but I'm happy about the timing of this presentation. Excuse me, because by most indications, it appears that we are moving in the right direction here in San Diego County in terms of both public health indicators and business reopenings. For those of you who have not yet met our relatively new Assistant City Manager, Michael Gossman, he's heading up the City of Oceanside's comprehensive COVID-19 recovery effort. And just to give some context, there's more to recovery than just economic recovery, which this presentation is focused on. Michael has built a task force of city staff and has done a great job of educating us on the three aspects of recovery. So first, there's fiscal recovery. And as you're probably aware, when a federal, state, or county or city government declares an emergency, there are funds that are available from FEMA to reimburse for some expenses related to emergency response. And there are very specific tracking requirements, and the city has been really dutifully adhering to these tracking requirements to ensure that we recoup as much of our COVID expenses as possible. So then there's social recovery. It's related to aspects of the pandemic that have affected our community. For example, youth sports has been canceled, and what is the impact on that of kids and their development and their propensity to stay out of trouble after school and those sorts of things. And then finally, the focus of this presentation is economic recovery, which is recovery and sustainability of our businesses and employees here in Oceanside so that they continue to create jobs and generate sales tax and attract visitors and grow and thrive. Just some background that you are all aware of, and I don't mean to sort of like take you back through this last, rough few months, but just wanted to provide it as a jumping off point. On March 4th, Governor Newsom declared a state of emergency in California due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and from there, restrictions started being put in place by the state and county to minimize the spread of the virus. So stay-at-home orders were put in place for all residents except essential workers. Restaurants were no longer permitted to have their dining rooms open. Bars were closed, gyms were closed, barbershops were closed, hotels were closed. Event spaces, pretty much all non-essential businesses and public facilities were ordered to close. And then after, it was rough at that time because it had been sort of several years of upward momentum for Oceanside's economy, and then it all just kind of came to a screeching halt. I'm going to speak specifically about tourism because it's just been one of the most, heavily impacted industries due to the health orders, specifically because the health orders restricted leisure travel. And hotels and short-term vacation rentals were ordered either to close entirely or they could only have visitors who were COVID-related, which really, limits their use. So Visit Oceanside, headed up by Commissioner Gall, who you all know, has really been on the forefront of communication and advocacy specifically for Oceanside's tourism industry. So these are some of the numbers Commissioner Gall had provided showing how impactful the pandemic has been specifically on our hotel industry. And this is coming at a time when hotels are expecting things to ramp up. They've just come out of winter, February, March, and things are supposed to be, getting busier. And here we are, we're down 34% in March, we're down 54% in April, revenue's down, and, hotels are laying off half their workforce. Sandag has put out some really good reports. If you go to their website, you can check them out in detail, but on the pandemic's impact on the San Diego region as a whole. And these are just a few data points to show how hard hit taxable sales, so that would be industries like retail and restaurants have been hit. So, down 44%, and retail and recreation down 50%, with obviously grocery and pharmacy not quite as impacted. I think we all know that just toilet paper sales alone might have saved that. So the Small Business Administration has historically provided emergency loans to small businesses. They are called Economic Injury Disaster Loans, or the EIDL, during times of disaster. And these are, traditionally disasters like hurricanes or wildfires. At no point in the history of this loan program has every single city and every single state in the country been impacted at the same time. And as we all know, the SBA system just got overwhelmed. Within a few weeks, they basically just kind of got rid of the application process and just started handing out $1,000 per employee advances up to $10,000. They barely checked these businesses, financials. And even businesses that didn't qualify for the EIDL ended up getting these advances, and they don't need to be paid back. So the EIDL itself was a bit of a disaster. And then as part of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or the CARES Act, that passed in late March, a new Paycheck Protection Program was implemented, the PPP. This program proved to be a lot more effective because it was administered through local lenders as opposed to directly by the SBA. There were some hiccups. The bigger banks just kind of got overwhelmed. It didn't have a lot of guidance, but ultimately the PPP really did seem to meet the funding need for a lot of small businesses, but not perfect. Given the impacts to these programs, there was a lot of uncertainty, there was a lot of delays. We actually tracked the experiences of 30 Oceanside businesses that had applied for one or both of the SBA programs. And we just heard that, they weren't hearing any status updates, they weren't getting their funding in a timely manner. So the city of Oceanside created a program to provide that gap funding that small businesses needed. So the City of Oceanside Business Loan Program was approved by City Council on April 22nd. It allocated $1.2 million in general fund interest revenues to providing small business loans to Oceanside businesses that were mandated to close or mandated to pivot operation or minimize their operation due to COVID. We also had the requirement that the businesses must have applied for and been approved for one of these loans, and that was really to just kind of reduce the risk to the city of getting these loans ultimately paid back. So the SBDC is a partner on this program with us. We, the city, were not small business loan experts, so the SBDC is, and so they have really stepped up, and they're helping us review loan applications and giving recommendations on which businesses should receive the loans and how much they should receive. So far we've gotten over $400,000 in applications, and we've funded a handful. We've got a lot in process. One of the challenges is just getting complete loan packages from these businesses, but we're working with them. So we've received 29 applications to date at this point. So this is kind of a list of other relief programs and initiative either the city or others have stood up in response to COVID-19. The utilities department, in recognizing that businesses that just had to close altogether were still getting billed and had to pay for water and sewer, they thought, well, let's put a program in place where they can just cancel service and then start up again with no penalties so that they weren't paying, thousands of dollars a month for that service they weren't actually using. Our neighborhood services department, we contract with different agencies in Oceanside to feed low-income families, Meals on Wheels, Boys and Girls Club. So our neighborhood services division actually partnered with local restaurants. They picked the restaurants that they knew were here in Oceanside, ready to help, and so that kept a lot of these businesses kind of surviving through this time to get those contracts. The city put a moratorium on commercial evictions, so that kind of protected business tenants. Our graphic staff made free downloadable signage that say, face coverings required, 6 feet social distancing, that businesses can just print out and post in their business. And then I'll let Jeff speak more about it, but just last Friday, our planning division launched a streamlined process for restaurant and retail businesses to use adjacent outdoor space for seating and merchandise display. Other local organizations have launched programs. The Chamber of Commerce actually, through a donation program, raised over $50,000, and with that money, they bought gift cards to Oceanside restaurants, and they're donating those gift cards to low-income families. Main Street also did a fundraiser, and they put together a grant program to give microgrants to small businesses called Oceanside Strong. San Diego North EDC, actually, they have a lot of brokers in their investor pool, and they had a few brokers step up and give sort of pro bono advice to business property tenants who were maybe having some issues negotiating with their landlords. There was a partnership, between Biocom and the state to make free PPE available for businesses. Cox Cable was giving away free ads. So we tried to connect all the businesses with these programs that were available. So as part of the CARES Act, federal funds went to states and counties as well as cities with more than 500,000 people. So Oceanside, with their 179 roughly people, did not get direct CARES Act funding. For the smaller cities, the County of San Diego actually has allocated $25 million in pass-through funds, and the City of Oceanside will receive $3.14 million of those funds. And it's pretty specific what those can be used for, but we have put together, or will be putting together, a proposal and submitting it. And they range from communications, PPE, public safety, all the way to grants to businesses related to the pandemic. And then we also have submitted a sort of a pre-proposal to our EDA rep to see if perhaps we can't get some EDA CARES Act funds for a program for recovery of our tourism industry in partnership with Visit Oceanside. So I thought it was worth mentioning, and to keep this presentation from being too depressing, that Oceanside actually has many businesses that have fared well through COVID-19. These include fast food, takeout, and delivery-focused restaurants, including some restaurants that discovered, wow, our takeout and delivery service is actually not a bad idea, and we're probably going to ramp that up even after, post-COVID world. Oceanside's big box retailers, the Targets, the Walmarts, and supermarkets have also actually done well. We will not know the final numbers on sales tax revenue in this quarter, probably for another 3 months at least. But Oceanside, only 20% of our entire kind of revenue generation is from tourism and sales tax and that sort of thing, that type of revenue. So it's actually, our diverse tax base is helpful right now because we don't rely too heavily on sales tax generating businesses like some other cities who rely on their regional malls or their, car dealerships to keep them afloat. And then, of course, having pharmaceutical and manufacturing and R&D in Oceanside is a plus if you're going to have a global pandemic like Genentech and Gilead. Prior Products you might be familiar with. They're a longtime family-owned manufacturer of IV poles, and they actually pivoted their operation to make ventilators and other COVID-related medical supplies, and they actually had to staff up and create a few more shifts. They have actually been doing very well. I spoke with an industrial real estate broker who said April was his best month in years, which sounds quite unprecedented, but it's really that distribution facilities have become more and more crucial to the shifting needs of customers during the pandemic who, there's just a ton of deliveries happening. And then we've had some really creative and innovative pivots from Oceanside businesses like Pacific Coast Spirits. They retooled their production operation to make hand sanitizer. Apparently, I did not know this before, but the ingredients in vodka and hand sanitizer are not that different. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the timing worked out well because the county just announced a next phase of reopening, which will take place this Friday, June 12th. Most notable, and something I think Commissioner Gall is very happy about, is hotel and short-term vacation rentals being allowed to open, as well as gyms, family fun centers, so Surf Bowl, and Ocean's 11 Card Room is also allowed to open. There's a longer list on the county website. So I wanted to end again on an optimistic note that looks at the notable projects happening now and into the near future. I think that will help Oceanside regain, partially that momentum that we had before the pandemic hit. And these include the comprehensive general plan update, which Jeff, will probably talk a little bit more about. It's called Onward Oceanside, and if you go to Onward Oceanside, you can sign up to receive updates and be part of that community process. And as you know, the general plan is the blueprint for the city's development and economic future. The fact that the economic development element was approved late last year with a lot of input from this commission, is going to hopefully be part of the guidance in developing the rest of the comprehensive general plan, like land use elements. The PBID, which I think you are also familiar with, the Property Business Improvement District, is still moving forward. We had just established the governing committee in March when the pandemic hit, so things went on hold for a few months, but there's actually, the next meeting is tomorrow. There's a pool of funds of a little under $400,000 collected from property tax assessments in the PBID area in downtown Oceanside, and that will be used for enhanced services, maintenance, landscaping, ambassadors, things that are really going to, I think, take downtown to the next level and will really meet the needs of the new visitors to downtown in this kind of pent-up demand for getting out. And the Higher Local Pilot Program, again, something that was put on hold, ready to roll in March, but was temporarily put on hold because MiraCosta College had to actually close. But interestingly enough, the programs that are supported by this program have been deemed essential educational programs, and so they're going to actually ramp up again at the end of this month, and we'll start working to get the word out to Oceanside residents that if they sign up for one of these 7 programs, they can actually have their tuition paid for by this program. And then if they get a job at an Oceanside company, they can get a $500 retention bonus if they're there for 6 months. And then lastly, the cannabis tax program, which I'll let Jonathan talk about if anybody has any questions. But that's basically a program that can generate additional revenue for the city from cannabis businesses, and that is slated to go to council at the end of this month. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions or turn it back over to Chair Matthews. Thank you.
Any questions for Michelle?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Michelle. We're going to move right 5. That's Jeff Hunt. Is Jeff in the room?
Yes, he's here.
Hello, Jeff.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Jeff Hunt. I'm the City Planner, and this item involves a review of the Planning Division projects and an update of those. This review goes back to February 11th, all the way back to February because your April meeting was canceled due to COVID. So starting out with the first category, general plan and zoning. Number 1, the coastal plan update. Staff is reviewing the Coastal Commission comments that we've received regarding the draft adaptation strategies. And we are also waiting for Coastal Commission comments on other elements of that update. Item number 2 involves the general plan update that Michelle mentioned briefly. This does involve a corridor plan to revitalize and focus growth in our 4 transportation corridors. It also involves the South Memorial Hills Community Plan. The consultant's working on background reports and technical studies, and for the South Memorial Hills Community Plan, they've already issued a public opinion survey, and we're in the midst of scheduling stakeholder meetings. Those updates will likely, at least portions of those, will likely come before this commission for your input. Item number 3 and 4, these have both been completed. Item 3 is the Coast Highway Corridor Incentives District. And item 4 is the downtown amendments that removed the density cap and expanded the transit-oriented district area and requires inclusionary housing. Both of these have been submitted to the Coastal Commission staff, and we're working with them to provide additional information that they've requested. Item number 7 involves the downtown commercial uses amendments, and this is different from the one I just mentioned. This involves adding more commercial uses in the downtown and a streamlined approval. The council approved this on February 26th.
Can you get closer to the microphone?
Yes. Again, this is number 7. The downtown commercial uses involves, provides for more commercial uses and for streamlined approval. The council approved this on February 26th, and staff will be bundling this along with the time extension amendments, which I'll talk about next. We are only allowed to submit 3 amendments to the Coastal Commission in a calendar year, so we have to bundle our zoning amendments together in order to meet that 3 limitation. So item number 8 is the time extension streamlining. This now provides for an initial 3-year approval period and 3 separate 1-year time extensions that can be approved by staff, and along with a blanket 1-year time extension due to COVID. The current process is a 2-year initial period, and then any time extension request has to go to a public hearing. So this will really help to streamline the process, both for the applicant and for staff. The council approved this on June 3rd. Item number 9 involves the climate action plan ordinances. These would implement the checklist for compliance, and it involves transportation demand management, renewable energy, electric vehicle charging, and urban forestry. This is scheduled for council review on August 5th. Going on to page 2, item 10 at the top, the accessory dwelling unit amendments. This will incorporate recent state legislation, including a by right provision that if your ADU is 850 square feet, 16 feet high, and a 4-foot setback, it's permitted by right. It also addresses parking replacements. This is scheduled for council review on August 5th. Item 11 involves vehicle miles traveled for traffic. This would implement the state mandated change regarding CEQA thresholds, going from level of service to vehicle miles traveled. VMT supports infill development and encourages or revitalizes our commercial corridors, while LOS provides for roadway capacity. The Planning Commission is scheduled to review this on June 22nd, while the council is scheduled for August 5th. And then number 12 is our digital plan review. Due to COVID, the department has required digitized plan submittals for all 3 divisions, and this has allowed staff to keep moving applications along while a lot of staff worked from home, teleworked, as we say. Because of the efficiencies that we've achieved, we're exploring whether to require or at least encourage this even after COVID-19. So the next category involves actual development projects. Item 13 is the Inns at Buena Vista, the long-standing project, 3 hotels with 426 rooms and a parking structure. This is at the 78 and Jefferson off-ramp. This is now scheduled for Planning Commission review on July 13th. It will then have to go to Carlsbad for their approval because part of the project's in that city, and it will have to go to the Coastal Commission for their ultimate approval. So we still have a long road on that one, but we have hit a major milestone. We're excited about that. Item 16 is the Rio Rockwell General Plan and Zoning Amendment. Staff supports the amendments. While we're cautious about converting commercial to residential, we believe in this case the commercial isn't viable due to the location and the realignment of highways. This will provide for 104 units, and it's under review. Item 20 involves the the Alta Oceanside mixed-use project. This is at the main attraction adult business site and some adjacent parcels. 5,600 square feet of commercial and 309 units, including 26 that are affordable on-site. This was approved by the council on May 20th. Items 21 and 24 both involve gas stations on El Camino Real and Oceanside Boulevard, and they were approved on February 24th. Item 25 involves the Home to Suites Hotel at El Corazon Park. This is a 4-story hotel with 137 rooms. The Planning Commission denied it, but it was appealed to the council, and they approved the appeal, thus approving the project on February 5th. Likewise, in El Corazon Park, number 26 is the Arena Calafino, a 170,000 square foot facility with a 36,000 square foot plaza, and the seating arrangements anywhere from 5,900 to 7,200 depending on the event. This is under review. Number 27 is the Ocean Camp mixed-use project on the former drive-in theater site. 35 acres of commercial, including a 300-room hotel, 100,000 square foot of retail, 20,000 square feet of office, all sorts of exciting amenities, including a wave pool, a fitness center, also 700 residential units. This has been under staff review, but currently it's on hold per the applicant while they work out some internal issues. Number 28 is our first medical cannabis facility, MedLeaf non-storefront dispensary. No one can walk in there and just buy it off the counter. You place your order and they deliver it to you. This is at 2935 San Luis Rey Road, and council approved that on May 6th. So going over to page 3 and starting with item 36, Brother Benno Standing Committee, the meeting has been continued to August 18th, and we will review the committee's revisions, draft revisions, and also propose new conditions of approval. 37 is the Marriott Residence Inn, 117 rooms, a meeting space and a restaurant. This was approved back in April of 2019, and staff has been working with the Coastal Commission regarding their concerns on low-cost visitor accommodations and encroachments into habitat. We recently had a discussion with them at our bi-monthly meeting, and we believe we're nearing the end of that discussion. Hopefully we'll get a resolution soon. Item 38 is a Sudbury mixed use at El Corazon, 268 apartments and 4,000 square feet of commercial. This is under staff review. Likewise, item number 39 is a Mission Flats mixed use at Douglas and SR 76, 137 apartments and 4,000 square feet of commercial. It does have historic design guidelines, and this is under review. Item 40 is the Sunsets mixed use project at North Horn and Pierview Way, 76 apartments and 2,200 square feet of commercial. This was approved by council on May 20th. The applicant subsequently submitted a revision to expand the project on the adjacent lots, taking it all the way out to Civic Street. So that is under review now. Item 41 is the Coastal Academy on Oceanside Boulevard, a 9-acre campus with a 109,000 square foot building and all sorts of amenities. This is under staff review. 42 is the CarMax pre-owned auto dealership on Plaza Drive. This was under staff review, but was asked to be put on hold by the applicant due to the current situation. Item 44 is NCTD's request for proposals. The deadline is pushed out to May 22nd. They are asking for the proposals to redevelop the transit center with mixed uses, commercial, residential, transit-oriented. We anticipate recommending a specific plan for that site. Given the patchwork of zoning regulations, it would be very difficult and awkward to develop and review. And then finally, item 45 is the mixed-use transit-oriented development at Crouch Street and Oceanside Boulevard, 4-story buildings, 295 units, 3,000 square feet of commercial, and some amenities. This is under review. And finally, I thought I'd show you the planning division. As Michelle mentioned, the planning division worked with economic development and IT to come up with a, let's see if I've got the right laptop. Do I have the wrong one? I'm just trying to get the overhead.
You got it.
Oh no, it's the doc cam. Yeah.
There you go. You got it. You can do the autofocus. There you
So here's the web page that is on the Planning Department's web page. It's on the Economic Development web page. There's also a link to most popular on the city's homepage. You can see the categories involve everything from outdoor seating that we're adding, use of private parking lots, curbside pickup. The outdoor seating can also be used for public space, right-of-ways, etc. And we've also added outdoor displays in case they want to put their retail outside. And finally, down at the bottom, there's a possibility of parklets. We're discussing taking our draft parklets guidelines back to council. I believe it was 2015, maybe 2016, we took it to council, and they asked that we wait on that until the Lot 23 parking structure is operational, and it is now. The concern was that we would be taking away potential parking. So we're discussing that. So again, that's our latest attempt to help the businesses during COVID and the recovery through relaxation of the regulations. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
This is Jim. I have just two questions. I noticed on the Choose Fitness, it's still under review. Is that still a possibility of going through down at, I believe it's at El Camino Real near at Mission Avenue in that shopping center?
It's still under review, so it hasn't been withdrawn or denied or.
Okay. And second question is, and I've been trying to figure out, on Waring Road at Thunder, there's a project that's under construction right now. It's quite a large one, about one block. I guess it's north of Tri-City Hospital on Thunder and Waring. What is that project? Do you recall offhand?
Oh,
I know.
I don't want to guess and go off memory, so I'll follow up with an email on
Okay,
that
that's
one.
fine. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much. Next item is a housekeeping item. Looks like Ward's term on the Downtown Advisory Committee is up, and so we need to nominate a new member from this committee to that one. Michelle, you want to pick this up?
Certainly. So Commissioner O'Doherty had his seat on the Downtown Advisory Committee has expired, so the Economic Development Commission needs to nominate a new representative from this commission to sit on the Downtown Advisory Committee.
So is anyone interested in serving?
This is Commissioner Manley. I would be interested.
Jeff?
Any objection to Commissioner Manley serving?
One of the commissioners has a question about the DAC.
No.
How often they meet. I don't know if you have that. Sure. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Chair Matthews?
Commissioner Manley for volunteering.
Chair Matthews?
Let's make it official. Yes.
We just have one question from Commissioner Ream, and Jeff Hunt is going to answer regarding the DAC.
Okay.
Oh, I was just asking when it met, but I'm comfortable with Ms. Manley taking the position.
Well, as long as you ask, they meet quarterly, but if a project comes in, that's quite a large gap. So if a project comes in and it's ready between then, we schedule special meetings, and they're very good. I'm not sure we've had them turn down a special meeting request yet, so it's somewhat flexible.
Okay. Thank you.
Chair Matthews, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't quite catch all of that. I'll read.
I didn't catch any of it.
Commissioner Ream had a question about how often the Downtown Advisory Committee meets, and Jeff Hunt responded that they meet quarterly and provided some information about special meetings that can happen on an ad hoc basis.
Again, I'm not really hearing all that well. Was there an objection to Commissioner Manley serving as our representative on the Downtown Advisory Committee?
No.
Okay, so she's going to be our representative?
With the, there should be a vote on that.
All right, so let's do it this way, since some of us are present and others are on the phone. Are there any no votes to Commissioner Manley serving as our representative on the Downtown Advisory Committee? If so, please state your name and your vote. All right, hearing no objections, it's unanimous that Commissioner Manley will serve as our representative on the Downtown Advisory Committee. Thank you once again, Commissioner Manley, for volunteering. Thank you, Ward, for your service.
Thank you.
All right, council liaison update. Do we have a council liaison present? All right. Commissioner updates. So I don't have an update other than I hope all of you are remaining safe and sane during this viral outbreak. So that's the extent of my update. Why don't you just call the names of the remaining folks in attendance and see if they have an update.
Vice Chair Tacone. Okay, Commissioner Gall.
I just want to quickly thank staff and city leadership for all their support. We're really excited about reopening on Friday. I had a call with CalTravel just before this meeting, and the chair from the California Lodging Association was on there, who meets frequently with the governor and on the economic task force for the governor, and he felt like the grassroots effort really made a difference, and the letters from the different cities throughout the state really made a difference. So I just want to thank our city for that and their leadership on that. Thankfully, Michelle covered a lot of the stuff I was gonna cover, so thank you, Michelle. But I did want to just mention, every year we do an economic impact study, and we just got this year's information about a month ago, and I just wanted to share a couple of highlights. It's really bittersweet because every year for the last 10 years, tourism has grown significantly in Oceanside, and we know 2020, or next year, it's going to look a lot different when the 2020 numbers come out. But I think it really shows Oceanside's potential and what we're capable of as an industry, and that I'm really excited to keep that momentum going, and again, when the time is right. But in 2019, we generated $415 million in visitor spending. That was up 8.5%. It generated $27 million in local and state taxes. It supported 3,500 jobs in Oceanside, and even though the job growth wasn't up significantly, the earnings were up, and I thought that was even better. Our earnings in our industry were up 9%. And just another interesting thing to point out is that 74% of that visitor spending goes to other sectors than lodging. So it's really critical to our small businesses in Oceanside when tourism is thriving, because they benefit from 74% of that visitor spending. So that's it. Just wanted to share that, and we just look forward to healing and being a part of the recovery process.
Commissioner McFadden.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, it's really hard to hear from here. I hope you can hear me. The only announcement I have is that my family and I are heading for the hills in about 3 weeks. We are moving to Boise, Idaho to try to get the heat off of us. I'm kidding. We're moving to more space, less density, different situation for my kids, and I've really enjoyed my time on the EDC with all you guys. And I'll still be back and forth doing work and everything, so I won't be gone, or it won't seem like I am, but I will be stepping down from the EDC effective the end of the month, and I've helped try to give a couple suggestions of a good replacement, and wish you all the best, and look forward to talking to you kind of one-on-one about what I'm up to. I won't do it over the garbled connection here today.
Commissioner Morris.
Okay, I have just a couple of things. First is, the PPP program. There's still money out there. A lot of people did not apply because they go, how am I going to use it? My company's closed, it's going to be closed for 2 or 3 months. So if you run across anybody that still needs a loan, a PPP loan, tell them to go to their local bank, apply. They should be able to get the money within a week. If they have trouble, if they have trouble, you guys can refer them to me, and I'll be able to try to figure it out for them. Number one, that. Number two is, fortunately or unfortunately, I have been to work almost every day during this crisis, traveling up to LA, Buena Park, and San Gabriel, in addition to flying back to the East Coast 3 times. It just, the last time, the first time I flew home and the plane flew back here, which was on March 27th or 28th, the plane only had 23 people on it. On the way, my last flight, May 20th, first class was booked, and every row had 2 people in it with the middle seat open, unless you were flying with a companion, and then the middle seat, then you were sitting next to each other. And now I understand the flights are they're completely packed. So I think that's an indicator of what's going on. People want to be going places. Most of the places that they're going to has been the mountains or the beaches. So hopefully that's good for us. Maybe us local people can just continue to do drive out and let the visitors here go to the restaurants and sit down. And so let them have their space, and we can get our food too. But I'm relatively positive on this. The federal government stepped in with over $6 trillion of spending. There's probably another $1 to $2 trillion. I know the Democrats want 3. I know the Republicans want 1. So the number will be in between. So there'll be another. Don't ask me how we're going to pay it back. But there'll be another stimulus a little bit later. So hopefully things will be okay, and all. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner O'Doherty?
Hi, guys. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I don't really have anything other than I hope everybody's being safe, and also keep your thoughts and prayers for Scott Ashton. He's had a terrible tragedy in his family. His son died, and so nobody I just wanted to say keep him in your prayers and your heart. That's all.
Commissioner Schroeder?
I just wanted to say we're sorry to see Josh leaving the area. It's been a pleasure working with him all these years. And I just wanted to say, also during this time, we had the coronavirus struck our family. My youngest nephew and his wife both came down with it, with a young family, 3 children under the age of 5. Very fortunately, both of them have successfully beat it. They're healthy again, and they're doing fine. A week ago Saturday down in La Mesa, we had a building that was right next to the freeway my brother and I own, and it was surrounded by protesters, and thank God nobody did anything to it, and we're right across the street from Grossmont, which had all of the destruction and everything that evening. So we were very fortunate, very grateful, and very blessed, and thank you.
Commissioner Altman?
I don't have anything today. Appreciate it.
You say you didn't have. Okay. Commissioner Manley?
I don't have a report. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Ream?
Nothing to report. Thank you.
That's it. Okay. That's all.
All right, thanks, everybody. Michelle, do you have anything additional to add on economic development besides your original comments?
I don't have anything additional to add. Usually in this report, I include all the new businesses that have opened up in the last few months. So I will defer that to August when I hope to have a nice long list.
Okay, well, with that, we're adjourned to our next scheduled meeting, which is Tuesday, August 11th, 2020 at 3 o'clock. In the interim, please be safe, everyone, and we'll look forward to hopefully getting together in person real soon.
Thank you, and apologies for the
All right, thank you. Take care.
AV challenges.
Thank you.